I said thank God it's Friday. Hello and thanks for joining the last edition of Journalist Hangout. This week, I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. On the program, ahead of 2019 presidential election, Buhari dares critics, says exits of defectors won't affect APC. Federal government slams Southeast governors, list 69 ongoing road projects. And later on the show, Ajimobi meets Ayefele set-up committee on demolition. I'll be hanging out with Ayo Makinde, Tony Waje, and Mobolade Omonijo. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Groundbreaking program of the year, high-level intrigues, politicking, and endless meetings that usually precede and characterize electoral contests in our democracy are heightening. Such time heralds political alignment and realignment, and we have witnessed with ship jumping by politicians. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari apparently gearing up for the electoral battles ahead, hosted some governors and lawmakers to a parley. During the meeting at his country home, Daura, President Buhari said critics won't deter him from forging ahead with his mandate. He also claims exits of defectors won't affect electoral fortune of the All Progressive Congress. APC in 2019. What more can I say? Then, wishing Mr. President Godspeed in the electoral race. Well, let's start by, this all started with the governor of Sokoto State, Governor Tambuwal, when he said President Buhari is not fit enough, for second term. And so President Buhari came for the Muslim festival. We went to Daura, and after the normal prayer, he decided to take 800 meters walk, shunning protocol to enter his vehicle and leave the listing ground. At the same time, Atiku Abubakar came out the next day to tell us that, look, what you do is child's play to what I do on the treadmill. And I actually saw the pictures all over of Atiku Abubakar, keeping fit. I see that enough on the social media. Omoyele Sowore came and said he even participated in the New York Marathon. Omoyele Sowore is also a presidential aspirant under the Africa, I've forgotten this new party. Now, for like 48 hours, it was all about how fit, this person can do this, is this a yardstick. Now, the presidency, a lot of PR stunts, giving commendation to those security guys that actually, a lot of people are saying this as INEC last week actually started by saying that, yes, notice of election, 90 days notice. So I've seen, as I'm talking to you, I've seen the authentic timetable of the All Progressive Congress. I'm sure most political parties, they actually give us their own timetable, and know by the second week of October, all political parties would have nominated their candidates. So I know that the race is on.
Yes, of course.
Officially by December, campaign proper for the candidates should start. So we're at it. What do you make of this?
Well, it's to be expected. There's nothing surprising there to me. I mean, you have barely 4 or 5 months to the election. What do you expect?
Fitness of Mr. President.
Fitness.
How is that an issue?
Well, his health could be an issue. But the way they are dramatizing fitness, as if the presidency is just about physical fitness, is something else to me. We are not talking even about programs. We are not talking about Nigeria and Nigerians. We are talking about fitness and fitness alone. Otherwise, we would have gone for Samuel, Joshua Samuel, to come and be our president.
Anthony Joshua.
To come and be our president.
The pugilist.
It's not about that alone, or go for one of the footballers. Yes, it is true that the health of the president, given what we experienced earlier on, could be an issue. That is it fit enough? Will it affect governance? Will it stand in the way of good governance? But it's not something to be so romanticized and dramatized. as we are having. Okay, the president walks 800 meters. I walk so much more on my treadmill every day. Oh, I participate in marathon. That's not what Nigerians are expecting. That's not where we should be. We are so close to election. We've had bad governance over the years. And Nigerians should be expecting something better. You claim Nigeria is the giant of Africa. You claim Nigeria is the leader of the black race. And yet Nigeria is depreciating daily. So we should be talking of how do we get out of the doldrums? How do we pull Nigeria out of the cave where it is? That's what we should be discussing. What are your own ideas? How are you different from others? You should be challenging the president on the issues, on his program, on his manifesto, on how he has performed, not only on 800 meters. He also, yes, is a stunt. I expect much more of that, given the fact that people say he's not fit to be president. But that's not the major issue. There are so many other issues that we should be discussing by this time.
Tony, the president said it in Dara that those defectors would not in any way affect the All Progressive Congress. This happened 4 years ago, where 5 governors left the People's Democratic Party to boost the chances of the All Progressive Congress. And with the margin of 2 million votes, over 2 million votes, President Muhammadu Buhari emerged. Now, President Buhari is saying that these people will not affect the fortunes of the party. Do you agree with this?
I disagree. The indicators are there. For him, for the president to even be talking about it, shows that it's one of the, it's an issue they are still finding hard to cope with. You can't tell me some governors left, some senators left,
Tambuwa has left,
and you're saying
Governor
it doesn't
Tom has left.
It affected your
Bukola
party.
Saraki, Senate President,
It
left.
affected your party, and
Kwakwanso left.
yes, it affected the party. When Oshomole, before this issue came up, the new party chairman was everywhere, meeting with the Senate, the National Assembly leadership. The issues didn't start today. It was clear that something is looming. When he came, I think one of these cardinal objective or issues were fashioned in that direction to make sure that these people do not defect. He was with the Senate president, he was with Dugara, they were having meetings overnight, trying to checkmate or forestall issues like the defection. But it eventually happened. He said it many times that he's not going to lose sleep over it. Well, I can tell you he's losing sleep over it because every day is the issue over and over again. The Senate, the president has met the Senate, the National Assembly APC caucus at different times. The national chairman of the party, the same thing. So if it's not bothering you, you won't be talking about it. I think it goes beyond that. What the party in power today should be talking about is good governance. What are we giving back to the people? Not about, because right now, Nigeria is at a standstill. Everything we talk about today is about election. I've not seen anybody, in fact, all the ministries. In fact, they've stopped all those town hall meetings. I think that we should go beyond what we're doing right now. It's just so sad that nobody is putting these people in check, from the president down. Everything in Nigeria is at a standstill. Now we're looking at.
Are you sure of that? Are you sure of that? That governors are stopped?
Governance in Nigeria is at a standstill.
We still witness commissioning of projects.
Commissioning of projects. Can you tell me the project? Can you tell me the minister is working right now? Everything in Nigeria now is about. You see that the impeachment of the Senate president, the squabble at the National Assembly, except maybe for yesterday, the Minister of Information said there are some projects. In some part of the country, which I'm still waiting for, the details. Right now, I want somebody to point to me what is going on in Nigeria. Listen to all of them. It's about how we're going to win an election. Which shouldn't be. We should wait. There are times, it's about government. There are a lot of things still need to be done in this country today. Nigerians are not feeling anything. That is my, and I think the president should just stay calm, let the opposition do their thing. He was once in the opposition. It's a fact. Provided it's a constructive criticism. This is democracy. And I don't see anything going wrong. That these people are doing wrongly. Things should be done in the right direction. Election is coming. I'm not saying that you should leave the issue of election. You can still go on, but then still face governance. Things are not moving on well the way it should move in Nigeria today.
All right, Ayo.
If we look at what's going on, first of all, I think, and I've said this like 1,000,001 times, Ayo, I think government is overrated. I think it's overrated because in the process of paying too much attention to this element or this ideology or this institution called government, we're actually overpraising some individuals because, take it or leave it, we're in the media. One individual comes into government, uses the institution to build his profile, leaves the institution as is, goes away with a higher profile. That's what has been happening. That's why someone will become governor, and the government, just as Tony mentioned, will do some things, but really maybe not do much, and then move on with his profile. That is why government officials personalize government projects as if it were their own. So I think government is overrated, and I think we, the people, should begin to call these government elements into question. Now, secondly, we all here have spoken about what this whole idea of governance should be. The question is, does the Nigerian know what governance is? I will blame us, the media. Just as Tony said, the assumption that everyone believes now in Nigeria is that nothing is happening, that everyone is only talking about...
That's an assumption. That's what I was
say it's
trying
an
to
assumption because that's the only thing we cover in the media. And that's the only thing that the people hear. Unfortunately for us, most of the people we are talking to don't read beyond the headlines. You just see the headline, see the riders, and then they go to town. That is the news as far as they are concerned. That is all. They don't read the details. Government demolishes IFLS music house, and they go to town. They cause a riot. That's what. Is there any other thing? What are the sequels? People are not yet ready for all the details. So we need to not only pay attention to other issues, we should do the job of not only informing the people, but also educating them, which is one of the things that Journalist Hangout is about. We should educate the people, not just inform them. Not just inform them, because our people, most of the time, you remember the 1993 riots that followed the June 12 election annulments. People weren't ready for details. You saw the headline, you went to town. That's all. So we need to find a way to begin to educate the people and encourage the people. Don't just go off with the headlines. Just as Tony said, I'm looking for the details of the 69 projects that the federal government said is ongoing in the in the Southeast. Maybe there are projects. Maybe they are up to 69. Maybe there are some projects indeed. I want to know. Okay? Those are the things that the Nigerian is interested in. And we're talking about fitness. Steve Hawkins was a paraplegic. The man was the most famous physicist before he died.
Roosevelt.
Lyndon, which president was it in the US?
Roosevelt.
That had no legs for 2 terms. He's the only government, 3 terms.
Yeah, 3 terms.
He's the only president in the US to have gone beyond the constitutional 2 terms. And this man was crippled. And there was no riot simply because the man was crippled. So what exactly are we looking at? What's in your brain? One of the things that I can say, we all have been in Nigeria for long enough to know which government, which president, which head of state has made sufficient or significant use of his deputy or vice president over the years.
This administration.
Except for this administration. I don't know if that is anything to score, all right? But let us educate the people. What are the things that government is doing now? There is no doubt about it. Obasanjo government did something. The government before that one said GSM was not for everybody. Obasanjo came and made it look like it was nonsense that they were talking about. It did something. The government is a continuum. But the situation where our people are encouraged to only see the individual as government needs to stop.
Okay. I will ask you what I asked Tony. That those guys that left the APC, do you see it substantially affecting the All Progressive Congress, the election in 2019? And do you see Mr. President losing his seats?
See, as at today, you cannot even begin to say who will win or who will lose. 24 hours is a very long time in politics. A whole lot of things will still change. A number of people will still move across. We saw after the first gale of defections, then you saw Akpabio. You don't know who else is living where from where. So we may not be able to fully say whatever. But what I know, just to some extent, as he said, you cannot dismiss them as featherweights. No, you can't say that. You can't say Saraki amounts to nothing in Kwara State. You can't say that.
It's like on and on.
No, well, it may not be all in all, but
it's sufficient.
It's sufficient.
When he left, 27 or 28 House of Assembly members left with him.
So
all the senators left with him. All the House of Rep members left. He has one.
You can't say that. But you may not be able to say exactly the same thing for Tambuwal, but he has the structure of governance in his hands. So he has access to that.
And Kwakwanso too, in terms of...
And Kwakwanso has some appeal in Kano, even though you can't discount the fact that Buhari himself is a brand in Kano. So,
okay.
I mean, if you compare to what we had in 2015...
Let me quickly pick this call. Olawale is calling us from Niger State. I don't know, maybe it's the same Wale, our regular. Many thanks for joining us, Wale.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Please, I want to make contribution about what we are discussing now.
Please go ahead, Wale.
It is unfair for anybody to say that the government in power presently, they are not doing anything. It is unfair. And as the other man said, that the problem of this country today are you people, the journalists.
No, he didn't say so. He didn't say so. No. He didn't say so.
Let me tell the other man in blue that there is nothing on ground. Tell him to take a cab and cover Ilorin to Makwa.
Yes.
No.
I traveled this road just less than 24 hours ago.
Oh, you're to Bumotion now?
Yeah, I'm talking of Ilorin to Makwa.
We know that.
Ilorin to Makwa, we used to spend over 8 hours for a journey of less than 200 kilometers. But I drove Ilorin to Makwa day before yesterday. I left Ilorin 4 o'clock. I entered Makwa 5:58. That is less than 2 hours. Let you travel from Koko in Kebbi State to Sokoto. From Koko to Sokoto, it used to be a journey of 48 hours. Today, under 3-4 hours, you cover it.
Wow.
The problem of this country is that the people that have looted us, they are no more seeing that free money. We are not having money as we are saying, but we are pleased with what Buhari Osibanjo are doing. And we pray that this will continue. The fact that some people in high places are not seeing free money again, the media, the journalists, the politicians, does not mean that this government is not doing something well. This is what you can call, check and call this number back.
Tony, you used to see free money before?
That's what he said.
I want it to be done. I want it to be done. I will respond.
Thank you, Wale. Thank you for your contribution. No, Tony. Wale was trying...
I wanted to correct.
Yes, Wale was trying...
He misunderstood me. What I'm trying to say, I'm not saying that we're not doing anything. I said there's a standstill right now.
It looks as if
what he
that
said,
is what
yeah,
he
that's
said.
what I needed to correct.
Okay.
I said this, like, there's a standstill now. Everything is geared towards
and it's
2019.
all a function of the
And
perception
yes,
that we
that's what I'm trying
present
to
to
say.
the people.
I'm not saying they've not done anything in the past 3 years. I'm saying
the truth
that's a
of the matter is-
standstill. And that is a fact.
And what I'm trying to tell you that there's nothing like standstill.
I don't agree.
They are awarding contracts. I'm not holding
No, it's not
fault to them.
about
I'm not.
listen,
Wait,
one thing we don't get.
work is going
Governance is not
on.
about contract. That's what should get this thing clear in our minds.
Tony, you know, facts are sacred.
Yes.
Babatunde Fashola just finished an interactive section in Lagos State last week. You need to see what he reeled out. You need to be there. You need to see what is that man is
Nigerians
doing
need to
every day.
see it.
Now,
These things.
They're on ground.
Let them go ahead and do it. Like just as Makinde said now,
What I think-
people need to see, people need to feel government. This is the problem
What
the
you are
past administration
saying,
had. That
Tony,
at the end
what
of the
you
day,
are
they
saying,
started
you are
pushing
saying
this thing
because
out.
of election,
Yes.
that everything is
It's
at
a
the
fact.
seat.
Ayo, election is the issue. Now buy the papers today. It's all about
That is
2019.
the problem,
That has to
Tony.
We are
stop.
all on the same page.
That
He
is
has
the-
just indicted
Let
the
them-
media. Are you indicting the government?
No,
Tony,
hold on, Ayo.
calm
Let
down.
the government
Tony,
step forward.
Tony, calm down.
and change the narrative.
Tony, calm down.
We're saying
Now,
the same thing.
He is saying he has just subtly indicted the media for setting, we know there's a principle, model we call agenda. It is what you give the people that the people will think about.
Is it what the media sees that they report?
Exactly.
No.
And I
No,
Ayo.
He's
Sorry,
the government needs to step forward and then the media will take it from there.
Tony, one moment. Ayo. This is one of the things that I often say about this and every government. You expect that because you are doing a good job, that the media should just come and cover. No, we are a commercial organization. You have to pay us to launder your image. All the things that Fashola has said, if you weren't at that interactive session, would you know? Those are the things that government should step out and market to people. A number of people, a significant number of people, even in the Jonathan administration, have come to tell me that the kind of engine that is running in Aso Rock is stronger than a 24, what's that very strong generator? That they're always working. Who knows what they're doing? As far as we are concerned, just as Tony said, if you are only winking in the dark, you're on your own. Government is always working. But in whose interest? 1, 2, for whom? If you are working for me and I'm not seeing the work you are doing, you need to tell me what you are doing. So that
okay, before I interrupted you.
Sorry,
let's go back to
on that issue of whether APC.
I'll come to you, Ayo. I'll come to you.
Okay. Yes, I was just going to say to some extent he has a point. There's all you call the lame duck syndrome, and it's normal. Even in the United States, after the first 3 years, when you are getting to the last 6 months,
it's natural.
It's natural.
Yes.
There's so much of
politicking
and all that. Mrs. Hillary Clinton.
If you are taking your exits, you are going to be the lame dog president. You might not be able to do some major things.
And if you are
seeking re-election, you concentrate more. Similarly,
everything you even do will be subjected to certain interpretations by different camps.
Yes.
It's normal.
But and it's all in the interest of swaying votes
swaying votes, So apparently I agree to that extent. But the problem is that Nigeria must know that at this point in time, we do not have time again. The other time I was going on the road and we were discussing, somebody was in my car and I saw a woman who was carrying bread. It's a common sight. And I said, how much do you think the whole bread that this woman, she was just coming from the bakery in the morning, how much do you think all this is worth? Because that's what governance is all about, impacting lives, pulling people out of poverty, ensuring that there's food on the table. She had a baby strapped on her back and she was carrying her bread. That's the entire ware that she was going to sell for the day.
That's all of her industry.
That's the whole of her own industry. Her world depended on that. If for whatever reason she was selling on the road, there was rain and she could not, you could imagine there would be almost cry in the home.
Or neighborhood watch comes around.
And you have, exactly, to carry the whole thing. And you have the children also, they come from school, they join in hawking on the roads. That's the lifestyle. We should be thinking, nobody is thinking of the next 10 years. No one's thinking what happens in 20 years. There was a time when we used to have the national development plans, and people worked towards it. We really don't have them again. Even when we have 2010, 20 whatever, it's just a joke. I mean, these are the things that should bother us.
And I think these, just as you have said, these are the things that we in the media should be pushing, not whether or not the PDP or APC is going to win the election or not. You're asking whether or not this will sway any vote on it. The question you want to ask is, who is the strong candidate now that is going to sway in anything? Let me give you an example. In the run-up to the 1993 election, after the parliamentary elections, which government was leading? Clearly NRC, by like 60% of the votes. The moment, and there was no strong presidential candidate other than Babagana Kingibe and whoever else at the time against the SDP. Babagana Kingibe was SDP at the time. Chairman. The moment MKO Abiola came on the scene, the narrative completely changed. SDP became so powerful, got about 60 to 70% of the votes at the presidential level. The parliament already had NRC leading. What kind of government do you think he would have had? Do you understand? So who is the person now? That should be the concern. It is good for us to have a very strong opposition. Tony mentioned that the other time. Do we have that now? Do we have someone who will say, okay, this person is speaking in the interest of Nigerians?
Everything is about personal interest.
Do you see such a thing?
Everything.
So that's the question that the Nigerian should be asking himself now. It's not about whether it's Buhari or not. I'm not a big fan of any particular politician. I'm only a fan of the person who is interested in the development of Nigerians.
Let me pick this call. Bode is calling us from Jos. Thank you for joining us, Bode. Good evening, Bode.
Hi, Babajide.
He's unavoidably absent. He's somewhere around the southwest.
Okay. I just want to talk about this Buhari.
Okay.
I'm a civil servant, top civil servant. I've worked in Katsina, I've worked in Kano, and I've worked in Kaduna.
Okay.
This Buhari of a man is just like what Yoruba call Orisha to them. I don't understand. They see him as a deity. Nobody, I'm telling you, I'm just saying, you go and mark it down. In 2011, Kwankwaso used, instead of using Jonathan poster, he was using Buhari and his own to campaign. Ask anybody in Kano. I have not seen anybody from the north, in that northwest, who can match that man. On the man in blue that was saying there was nothing going on, I listened to Fashola and I saw what he rolled out on that program. I was surprised. I traveled to Port Harcourt the other time. I was coming on the road. If you come from Port Harcourt to Enugu, you see that government is doing something. From Delta, if you enter Delta State, if you travel from Asaba, there's a road that is unpassable for some time. But what I'm seeing is this Sukuk program, Sukuk something. You can travel from that road now. In fact, people from that area, they were saying that for the past 10 years, no, that place is impassable. You pass through the bar to Uromi. From Uromi down to Benin, they are working. They are working. But what I just believe is that this government need more publicity. But as for Buhari in the north, I'm not saying the south. I've not seen that person, born of human being now yet.
Thank you, everybody. Tony, you want to react to what Bode just said? Bode said, we've had 2-3 callers now, and they've been telling you testimony.
No, you didn't get my point. I corrected it here. I said everything in since we've been sitting down here, we've been talking about election. No. What we have been saying here is about election. That is exactly what we said. It depicts what is going on in Nigeria, right? What we're talking about here is exactly what is going on in Nigeria. It's all about 2019.
Yes, that's the
which shouldn't be. I am saying that we should let it. You can take it side by side. Election on one side, governance on one side. We can't suspend governance for election.
Nobody has suspended.
That's exactly what that's a feeling. That doesn't listen how your place. Listen.
Okay.
That is the feeling on the streets. I don't care what people are saying, but that is what people are feeling. I mean, election has started in Nigeria. We've seen campaign on TV. Go to the papers. It has started and it shouldn't be.
Mr. Manager,
that's against
your last
electoral law.
Well, I repeat again that Nigeria, we should engage the forward gear and accelerate. As it is, we are marching on the same spot. We need to do much more than we have been doing.
Thank you. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. I'm sure you can feel the heat at home. We'll come back. Let's down this tension and come back. Welcome back. It's still Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here in our headquarters, Lagos, Nigeria. At a time like this in our polity, the world marginalization gain infamy in Nigeria. One region or the other always cry out loud about, perceived neglect. The world may be losing constancy, but the idea remains with us. Recently, governors from the southeast region of the country expressed dissatisfaction with the implementation of developmental projects in their domains. But the federal government has refuted claims by the governors that the region has been shortchanged in infrastructure projects. Information Minister Lai Mohammed said there are 69 ongoing projects in the region alone. So who is crying wolf or running foul? Gentlemen, it's another sensitive thing. Very, 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 very sensitive. I have with me even the breakdown of some of the projects according to the minister listed. According to the minister, 4 projects financed with proceeds of Sukuk bond in the southeast, including Enugu Port Harcourt dual carriageway that I just talked about, section 2, Umuahia Tower, Township Railroad Bridge, crossing in Abia State, Enugu Port Harcourt dual carriageway, section 2, Umuahia, and then outstanding Onitsha Enugu Expressway, and another one, Amasi / Enugu State Border, Enugu Port Harcourt Expressway, section 3, Enugu Lokpon Town. Now we also have Aba Ports in Port Harcourt, Enugu Port Harcourt Expressway, the second Niger Bridge, and they said over 16.6 billion naira out of the 100 billion went to the southeast. But the governors of the southeast, they might not have seen this, and they are saying that they've not felt the impact of this administration in the southeast particularly. Is the federal government marginalizing the southeast?
I have not seen that. I have not seen that. And they didn't go further to even tell us the details as to what they were enjoying before that they don't have now. But it's not peculiar even to the southeast. Governor Fayoshi said the same thing in Ekiti before the election, that he had not seen anything.
That they've not done 100 kilometers of road in Ekiti
the whole of
State.
Ekiti State, which happens not to be the true representation of things. One thing I know about the southeast is that as of today is the bastion of anti-Buhari sentiments. Anti-APC, it's a PDP territory, and so, like we're saying, politics is in the air. Politics is next year, and it's part of the campaign, if you like, to say, look, don't begin to get swayed by these people saying they've done a number of things. No, they've neglected you. I think that's just the narrative.
So it's a
campaign strategy.
Campaign strategy. I don't agree with them. I don't think there has been any.
Well, you don't stay in the east. You don't stay in the southeast.
But there are,
so I will also enjoin my viewers in the southeast
to call in
to tell us the situation.
I agree.
Have they felt, the people in the north, they've been saying one or two things. Have they felt in any way the presence of the federal government?
I agree with you that I don't stay in the east, but I don't stay in the United States, and there are no certain things going on there. This is the global village today. You know a number of things that you just mentioned. Enugu Port Harcourt. You don't have to stay in the east to know that that road has been completed. The Enugu Onitsha. You don't have to be there to know that that is completed. I mean, a number of things. You don't have to know to be in the east to know that the second Niger Bridge has been flagged off, and even though it's going slowly because it's going to consume so much money. I'm also aware that in this year's budget, there's supposed to be work on the Enugu airport, which the National Assembly itself decided to whittle down. No, I don't have to be there to know some of these facts. No, there is some development nationwide. Unfortunately, there's been so much deficit in infrastructure that we may not easily feel
the impact.
It takes time, and by the time you are even executing a project, until it's completed, it's natural that people will still say, we've not seen it, until, like Enugu Port Harcourt, it's completed. Then you can say, yes, this one is delivered.
Tony, will you in any way say this administration, in terms of project distribution and in terms of infrastructural development, the southeast has been in any way marginalized? Because these governors are saying that, look, we can't feel the impact.
Okay, let me put it this way. The Southeast governors said the federal government has changed the Southeast
that they feel
in terms of
infrastructure
projects. And then the Minister of Information reacted yesterday in Ilorin. That's exactly what I'm saying. And then the minister said in the Southeast, government ongoing project right now, both executed and ongoing, is about 69. And I was like, I would have expected the federal government.
Just hold on your gunpowder. I have Obina on the line from Jos.
Hello.
Thank you, Obina. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Obina.
Please, I want to contribute on this topic.
Oh, yeah,
The
Obina, please.
minister said that they have about 69 projects
Yes, that's what Tony
going
just
on,
said.
or some completed.
Yes.
Why don't you substantiate his proof with video? Show us where you... Thank God you've been there. You yourself, you went to Anambra State for election. You were at Onitsha Head Bridge that they said they are doing. How far have they gone? Go there today. Nothing is going on there. Any proof that he has that things are going on in Southeast, let him bring them out on television. Let us see. Fashola went to this road that this man mentioned, the Enugu, Onitsha, this capital of Delta State, Onitsha Saba Road. Okay. That road is still like that up to today. Even the vice president went there. He saw it. He did nothing about this thing that he mentioned that they are doing there. Let them bring out on video and show us what they are doing. Just go to that.
Oh dear.
Oh, Obina.
I lost the call.
Please, Obina, you can call back and...
Can I take it up?
Yes.
So what I'm
take
trying to say is this. Just as he said, I would have expected, now that you know, just as you said, that there's kind of a resentment in the Southeast, which I want to correct. It's totally wrong. It's not everybody from... I'm not from the Southeast.
Everybody.
No, hey, but that's what you said. It's like a resentment on the present administration. I want to say the president from the
can never be all.
No, you said no. Some people, I was here.
I said
so
the issue is
the issue. It's okay, so I understand. I believe
He has not said anything wrong. He said
I believe
majority,
him. No,
as in terms of opposition
okay, that's
to
what
this
I thought
administration.
I heard. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is this. Now that the government knows that that kind of attitude or is coming out from that side, when you want to put issues like this on ground, I think first thing first, there must be visual evidence to show.
Seeing is believing.
Yes, there must be visual evidence to show that this. I mean, there's no big deal there. We are talking about the federal government. If the media arm of the government is working, these things should be shown on every. We watch TV every day, and Nigeria is so blessed. We have many TV and radio stations, including the print, and we can afford to have this. And now that we are approaching an election, and you want to gain an entrance into that side, they feel
video evidence.
Yes,
to substantiate these claims.
Yes, it's simple. It's not a big deal. It's not. Nobody's asking for. It's not big to do. It's simple. You do it. And because definitely I watched the minister and I read it. I mean, it's easy to say.
I'm sure the minister is listening to you. He watches this program.
That is it. So the media has, the president, the federal government has to engage the media in this area. People need to, because it's about, it's just like what's happening to Nigerian police. A lot of people no matter what the police says, you don't want to believe them. So how do you change the mindset of the people? Absolutely. It's simple. Just change your strategy and get this thing corrected. We're all Nigerian, and we're all praying for the betterment of this country. I mean, I love Nigeria more than anything. And nobody can come here and tell me he likes Nigeria more than me. It's the same, we're pursuing the same goal for the betterment of this country. But things need to be done rightly. If we feel there's something going on that side, I mean, put this thing right, and they will believe you. There's no big deal there.
Intervention now.
There is this, the first thing that comes to my mind is that scripture that says, can anything good thing come out of Nazareth? As far as some people are concerned, the federal government, no matter who is the head, is not doing anything for Nigerians. Recently, we had the report that Nigeria has moved up 24 steps on the World Ease of Doing Business Index. As far as anybody is concerned, if it doesn't affect the price of bread, you have not done anything. Because at the end of the day, that is what it comes to. We're talking about video evidence, of course. However, you have more than enough to watch. About 10 years ago, YouTube had videos that will take you, Ayodele Ozumbaku, 500 years watching it every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as of 10 years ago, to finish. Now, we are looking for video evidence. As a journalist, you go to a press conference, and they say, okay, we want to show you videos of all 69 projects that we are going to get. How many reports are you going to cover in one day?
2 minutes.
To be able,
It's
no,
not
wait,
for Ayo.
wait, Tony,
it's
wait,
for government
Tony,
to do a
wait.
documentary.
Tony,
There's no big deal there. There must be a documentary.
Tony, let's
I mean,
understand.
it cuts into mine too. No, I beg, no.
So,
you chip into my own.
It'll be difficult to go with all of that. Oh, I agree. In these days of social media, there ought to be a social media strategy.
Okay.
I am against the fact that government keeps quiet on the amazing things that they do. I'm abashed that you have eggheads in government. You have boys and girls around you. You have interns, 24, 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds that can come up with amazing social media strategies. Just all you have to do, this just as Tony said, it's very, very easy. In your area, tell us one thing that you know that government is doing. But that doesn't mean that it's that every part of Nigeria is not having issues. Lagos-Badagry Expressway is an international route. For how long? Lagos-Apapa-Oshodi Expressway is just 3/4 of the way done. Who is shouting?
Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is still in comatose. So every part of Nigeria, this is the part of Nigeria that I know. Anyone who is listening to us right now, go to Asaba Town as we are speaking now. Asaba Town, the most prominent radio station in that area. Where that place is located is like my village in Ijefon. Very, very grossly underdeveloped. You know the place that I'm talking about. So when we are talking about development, we should take a holistic look at this whole thing, not just look at it in silos. Oh, definitely it is. Do you know how much is the federal budget? How much, what is the percentage of infrastructure that can be assigned?
Honestly.
Recurrent expenditure compared with capital expenditure. Exactly. More than 50% of Nigeria's budget is spent on the recurrent expenditure.
We cannot, 70%.
We cannot take loans more than we have already taken. So when we are talking about this development, it is easy for you to destroy. How long did it take to pull down BOI, that derelict building at the time? Please, how long is it going to take to build it? I agree. We are a very, very impatient people. I would be impatient too. I have had a very, very terrible marriage. I divorced my wife. You now expect that this one will just come and surprise me? Of course, I'm going to retain my old ways for a while. So government has a responsibility to make sure it educates the people about what it is doing. The people ultimately have to be satisfied. But please, let us not get carried away by the fact, by thinking that the Nigerian is a fool. No, the Nigerian is just waiting. I have my PVC. On the day and at the time, I will do what I need to do. Exactly. And many people are going to be surprised. Many people are going to be surprised to think that you can easily sway people because you move in droves from one party into another. Ultimately, it is interest. Your language is interest, not governance. I wish the people know. My brother, you will be amazed. I have engaged.
Go to the social media. I wish the people know what you're saying.
See, the people ought to know. If the people don't know, they have a problem that they need to solve. They ought to know. Let me also say this. When you see a headline, please, my people, don't just go away with the headline. There is a lot to it. There's always more than it. Which is our responsibility as the media. Which is our responsibility as the media. Don't get carried away that, okay, Fashola Saraki has moved, Babangida has moved, Buhari has moved. It is not of concern to me. What is the difference between APC and PDP? It's like the left side or the right side of the same coin. In America, it is different. You don't just cross carpet anyhow because the ideologies are different. What is the difference between the two now?
It's Nigeria.
You understand? So right now, as one thing that I will advise any Nigerian listening to us right now and watching us right now is, look, don't get carried away by the individuals. What has he done before? Listen to a Fashola, listen and verify, please. Verify what all the claims that they make.
On a final note on this.
Yes, I will just say that when we talk of marginalization, I don't believe that any region of Nigeria is specially marginalized. But whether the Nigerian people are marginalized is a different matter.
Awesome. Go deep. Go deep.
That's it.
All right, moving on now. After a storm comes an atmosphere of calmness, to return to normalcy. The public uproar and condemnation that greeted the demolition of Fresh FM building owned by ace musician Yinka Ayefele appear to be dying down. Hope for reprieve is, however, rising after the saga. The Oyo State Governor Abiola Ajimobi, and Ayefele have met to find a means of resolving the issue. What comes next after the meeting is not certain. But Governor Ajimobi has sanctioned a committee to be set up to look into the demolition of the building over alleged contravention of the physical planning rules. The governor also said the demolition was not a witch hunt, nor politically motivated. On Sunday, even before I went to church, it was all over, even after church service, checking social media and everything, it was, And one thing about emotions, are people, the way they, is what they see, they are swayed by it, what they hear and everything. So on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, some of us started getting some other facts, and we were now able to process it that, oh, okay, we discussed about this particular topic on Tuesday, and it was able to say, okay, on both sides, the kind of communication breakdown and everything. But the sentiment, and people went as far as even cursing the governor as of that last Sunday. What do you make of this saga?
Well, I think the whole thing was driven by sentiments, as you have said. But I blame the government for two major things. Number one, you should know that if you are going to tamper with a radio station, even if you think that you are justified, you need to prepare the public. There was no attempt whatsoever. We're just talking about government and the way they take things. Public opinion is not something to just wish away. You do certain things to ensure that it's directed. Then number two, and much more importantly, what I blame the government for was not whether, I believe that government is about public policy. It's about the best of the people. But in doing that, you need to carry the people along. Now, the way the government rushed to court and the way the government reacted after Ayefele went to court, I think it leaves a lot to be desired, as far as I'm concerned. Because having gone to court, you are seized of the matter. You are not unaware. The court said, serve them notice, put him on notice. He wanted an ex parte. He said, no, you can't get ex parte. Put the other party on notice. The other party gets notice and then rushes to start demolition. I think it leaves a sour taste in the mouth, as it were. But it is important that we note that sentiments can never deliver the goods. There was too much of sentiments. Yinka Ayefele is on the wheelchair. How could you do this? He's an employer of labor and all that. The issue should also be, what does the law say? Did he contravene the law in any way in particular? I mean, these are issues that should have been clear, and they should have been uppermost. To me, yes, you could have maybe one, but I think that just talking about sentiments, about who Yinka Ayefele is, whether he's a musician, whether he's employing people, and so on, is not the major issue. The major issue is, did he contravene the law? And the only institution that is allowed to return a verdict is the court of law, unless you decide to settle out of court. It is good that both sides are beginning to realize the need to sit down around the table after the storm to see whether there should be some calm. But I think all of us should learn some lesson from there.
Tony?
Yeah. Just as I said, I woke up in the morning and on Sunday, and that was the first story. I saw that breaking news. This issue shouldn't even get to this level. State governments all over the country demolish houses here and there, and we don't hear much about it. The governor of Oyo State is someone I respect so much. It's non-controversial. Apart from the issue he had with the students, then this. Aside that, I like his style of governance. He hardly hears noise. He doesn't make noise. He doesn't go on the streets boasting. Except for these two incidents, it's Ayefele own, and then the student, he had altercation with that. Apart from that. So the government, like yesterday, they met, they reconciled. He admitted, just as you said, if it's not, for instance, was it against the state building law? Was there a breach? We should take out the individual here. It shouldn't be about Ayefele, because as I said before, it happens like every day.
They said they've served notice.
So now, but my happiness is that yesterday they've been able to get to a middle point. The issue is this: The government have admitted there's a mistake. IFLA himself admitted there's a mistake. The State Traditional Council came together and they resolved it. That, to me, is another, a big mark scored by the governor. I support him for this. At the end of the day, everybody goes on. At least I think there's a lesson here. For me, it's not about the individual. It's about the state. It's about the law. We're talking about a breach here because we took this thing out of proportion because of the individual involved. But I don't want to go into it. What I'm talking about here right now is that at the end of the day, for the governor to say, okay, I'm okay, let's see how we can resolve it. Otherwise, it would have gone the way of one particular...
told that the truth was brokered by Alafin for you.
Yeah, I saw a traditional rulers, yeah. So it's commendable, and I think she just rests this matter.
What's your take on this?
When the news broke, well, of course, naturally, as a broadcaster, it took me aback. But I have a personal principle of stepping out of the issue to look at it critically. I mean, unless you are what the Yorubas call otaji, you won't just go into see an edifice, knowing whatever elements may have, and then just pull it down. What I gathered over time is that, one, that's not the only structure that's been pulled down in Oyo State, and two, that wasn't even the first.
That line.
So many, even outside of that road, even beyond that road, in other areas of the city, and it's simply because we have a natural way of saying, okay, because I know someone in government, or I know someone who knows someone in government, I can pull down things. Sometimes, if someone hits your face, the person is just look for one law or the other to rope around your leg just to pull you down. That one also happens. I think one of the things that this, just as Tony said, should tell us is that let us draw the line between the individual and the institution, because ultimately, if it is not governance, if governance apparatus is used as an instrument of vendetta, we have a major problem.
All right, I have Benga calling us from Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us. That's my last caller for today.
Good day, Ayo.
Yes.
And gentlemen there.
Good evening.
My name is Guy from Abuja.
Okay, go ahead.
The issue of IFL, let me learn some lesson there. That if the government writes you a letter, either good or bad, you should write back and let the government know what you are doing. Don't engage government in a verbal dialogue. Number two is that institutions should be separated from government or governorship. Institutions should work on their own and do the right thing. Number three, if you have any problem, don't go on social media, because IFL letter to go on social media to win sentiment. Instead of going to meet the government and tell them what to do officially, he was telling them, look, this is going to go the money tomorrow, and they did it. Now we are blaming the government. So each parties have not realized their mistakes, which I have learned from. They are dealing with institutions. Don't be with Baba, they go with letter, black and white, for record purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Benga. I want to thank you, gentlemen. Ayo Makinde, thank you for being on the show. Thank you so much. My friend, Tony Waji, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm Mubalaji Monijo. Thank you for being my guest. And on behalf of members of Gospel Apostolic Church Worldwide, that's members of Gospel Apostolic Church Worldwide. Yes, today is the 4th anniversary celebration of the demise of our Father and the Lord, that's Reverend Samuel Akibode Sadela, and was the oldest preacher during this time. He died in 2014, and this is also a product of Akibode Sadela. So we wish everybody, and we wish his soul will continue to rest in perfect peace. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us next week for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our other platforms showing on the screen. Catch us live on YouTube, that's youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. Enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.